What's going on, everyone? So, the Memphis Grizzlies trade kind of came out of left field a little bit. Now, there were some little murmurs going around that they were potentially trading Desmond Bane. There was talks about during the trade deadline and even last offseason, but then nothing happened. So it was kind of like, okay, well, now he got traded. And of course, this is kind of signaled, especially based on the package in which they got in return of like, hey, wait a minute, is Memphis rebuilding? Right? They didn't go and get, trade Desmond Baines for like a Jalen Suggs and a Michael Carter Jr. and, or Wendell Carter Jr., not Michael Carter, Wendell Carter Jr. And, like a Jalen Suggs, and where it's like, okay, now they got these guys that are coming in and giving you the protection and adding depth and doing all this. No, they traded for a package that is essentially a rebuild package. 4 firsts and a pick swap, right? KCP was just basically salary filler. And then they got Cole Anthony, who, again, is nice. Okay, cool. Gives them some depth. But, is kind of like, what are they going to do with him? Are they going to keep him? Are they going to trade him? What's going to end up happening? Right? So, with that, again, it signals, what about Ja Morant? What about Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr.? And reports are already coming out that, hey, teams are monitoring and keeping an eye on that because Memphis, this might have signaled a Memphis rebuild. And I even talked about this might be the precursor that you look back and go, okay, that was the first move in which they just tore this thing down. I think it's very possible that at least one of those two get traded, in Ja Morant and Triple J. I think it's more likely that Triple J gets traded, just because one, is Memphis really going to trade Ja? 2, Triple J no longer qualifies for the Supermax and is going into a contract year. So he could just leave. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Memphis Grizzlies look to trade Jaren Jackson Jr. And he is a guy I have talked very heavily about the Lakers going after. I mean, I talked about this like a month ago now when we got news that Jaren Jackson Jr. no longer qualified for a Supermax. The moment we found that out, I was like, hey, Lakers should go get him and solve all of their problems at the big man position, right? Now, he's probably best suited as a 4, but he won Defensive Player of the Year as a 5, right? And he is exactly what the Lakers need right now as far as the defensive anchor, right? And that versatile, skilled big man to slot alongside Luka and LeBron James. And then guess what? When LeBron rides off into the sunset and decides to retire, whenever that is, you can just slide Jaren Jackson to the 4, go get a center to bring in at your 5, and now you got Luka with Jaren Jackson as the pieces going forward. If the Lakers could pull that off, I would do that immediately. And here's the other catch, right? They just traded Desmond Bane for 4 firsts and a pick swap. So let's say they want 6 firsts for Jaren Jackson Jr. plus players, right? Well, guess what? Lakers can now go to Memphis and go, you literally just traded a guy that is incredibly similar, right? For 4 firsts and a pick swap. Guess what Austin Reeves is worth? So we'll give you Austin Reeves. We'll give you, a Dalton Connect and maybe another first. I'd try to keep the first, maybe go pick swaps at that point. Like, hey, here's Austin Reeves, here's Dalton Connect, here's Rui Hachimura, and like 2 pick swaps. Right? Because again, you yourself just set the market for a guy like Austin Reeves. You yourself just signaled what an Austin Reeves trade would look like. Or, let's say, because again, the Memphis Grizzlies could be rebuilding. They could be a team that's rebuilding. So they might look at it and go, hey, we don't want a 27-year-old Austin Reeves. Well, the Lakers could take Austin Reeves and go get the assets. There's plenty of teams that would like that. So maybe you're working at a 3-team deal where a team is sending you, 3 or 4 firsts, right, to the Lakers, and then you're rerouting that to, the Memphis Grizzlies, and you're doing you're trading Rui Hachimura in that deal or whatever, right? Like that could be something. And you might ask, like, well, why would they want Rui Hachimura? Because he's expiring contract, right? Or maybe you're just matching salaries at that point. Maybe you're doing like a Maxi Kleber or whatever, because this season, Jaren Jackson Jr. is only making $23 million. So you could, if you wanted to, technically, You can either do Austin Reeves, and then all you need to do is you do Austin Reeves like Maxi Kleba and Shake Milton, right? And be like, hey, we're clearing a bunch of salary off your books so you keep flexibility as a rebuilding team. And then Austin Reeves is worth this amount of assets. Plus we'll give you Dalton Connect, maybe Dalton Connect instead of Shake Milton. So Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, right? Maxi Kleba, and then, 2 pick swaps or whatever. Boom, there you go. Right? It would also help tremendously if Jaren Jackson Jr. says, I only want to go to the Lakers, which he absolutely could. If he pulls an Anthony Davis, then I think for sure the Lakers land Triple J. Problem is, if Triple J is like, I'm open to several teams, then that kind of makes things difficult, right? Because you could get teams that are like, yeah, well, you could take Austin Reeves, but we could just give you the picks, right? A team like, OKC or San Antonio. San Antonio could be like, hey, we could give you 2 young guys and give you, a bunch of picks, right? So I think we'd need a little push, a little nudge from Jaren Jackson Jr. if you're the Lakers. But again, he's 26, right? So he's young enough to be that. And then again, if they don't want, right, Austin Reeves, again, you could go turn Austin Reeves into the assets, maybe even get a player in return, right? So like, let's say that they're like, we want, the equivalent of 6 firsts and like a young player. Well, again, you can go trade Austin Reeves. You're going to have to get a player back. So maybe you can get that player back. You can either reroute that player plus the picks to Memphis, or you can keep the player, send the picks plus, again, you'd have to do basically $24 million. You could do Dalton Connect, Gabe Vincent, and Maxi Kleba, right? And you might be thinking, well, that's a lot. You're giving up Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleba, and then Austin Reeves. You're basically doing a 4-for-1 swap, right? But here's the thing. None of those players are really irrelevant, right? For the Lakers, they're all like, okay, Dalton Connect's like the one guy. Austin Reeves, obviously. You'd still be getting a guy in Triple J, and then you also clear off 3 roster spots, right? That now you can go get other guys because you need to fill out a roster too. That's something you got to keep in mind. So that actually might be better for the Lakers because not only would they have, Jackson Hayes and Alex Lynn coming off the books, right? They could waive Shake Milton and free up 3 spots. Plus, if you do this trade and you end up swapping, 4 players out for 1 or 2, then you free up another 2 or 3 spots. You could have 4 or 5 roster spots that are open. Well, now, also if you're the Lakers, you go to LeBron and be like, look, we just got you Jaren Jackson Jr. and Luka Doncic, right? Dude, take this discount, right? So we can free up the full mid-level exception. We have 4 or 5 open roster spots. We can go get those. Let's go get, at that point, can you get a Bruce Brown or something like that, right? Or a Nickeil Alexander-Walker and slot him at the 2, right? So now maybe LeBron's like, you know what, you're right. Like, got Jaren Jackson, Luka, go get a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, boom, right? Now you got that, and then, go sign a free agent, go get 2 or 3 free agents. Now maybe you can get a Clint Capella and then, or a Jericho Sims or whatever at that point, go get a DeAnthony Melton and then go get another piece. And then, your starting 5 literally could be Luka, right? Nickeil Alexander-Walker, probably have to go Dorian Finney-Smith at that point, which is fine. LeBron James and Jaren Jackson Jr. Sounds like a contending team to me. You got floor spacing, you got shooting, you got defense, you got switchability, right? You got literally 4 guys that can defend alongside Luka. You got your defensive anchor in Jaren Jackson Jr. You got probably the closest thing to Anthony Davis that you could possibly get, right? As far as defense and offensive production and versatility, right? He also wouldn't have to be your best player, right? Like he is on Memphis. This past season, he was their best player, right? Like even over Ja at times, right? So again, it's like now you don't have to be the best guy. And then when LeBron rides off into the sunset, again, you just slide over to the 4. Also, neither him nor Luka would be on supermaxes. So the Lakers would maintain even more flexibility going forward, right? Because that's the thing. Like if Luka qualified for supermax and Jaren Jackson Jr. qualified for supermax, it's tough. Right now you got 2 guys making like $60+ million a year, right? And it's like, man, you're very limited on what you can do with the rest of your roster. However, when both are only making, 20, 30 million less on their contract because, again, they don't qualify for those, that gives you a lot more flexibility. And then LeBron departs and, now you clear his 50 million or whatever, and then, and honestly, I'd rather give Jaren Jackson Jr. 35 million a year than Austin Reeves 35 million a year. 35 to 40 million a year, because that's probably what Austin Reeves is going to get. I personally prefer to give that Jaren Jackson Jr. You have Jaren Jackson Jr. and Austin Reeves as your foundation going forward. You have your kind of big little, even though both guys, are bigger, like Luka is bigger, right? You have kind of that big man, the wing and interior guy going forward. And then again, you can go get that center to slot alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. Maybe it's a guy that you go and pick with the 55th pick. Right? Maybe you're going and getting a Muhammad Faye and developing him for the next 2 years while LeBron is kind of doing his thing and being a part of the team. And then when he departs, boom, maybe now Jaren Jackson Jr. is moving over to the 4, and then, Muhammad's coming in and being your starting center. Or maybe the Lakers can get that later on down the road, whatever. Especially if the Lakers could keep the 2031 first in that trade, if possible. I don't know if it would be possible, but if you could, right? Whether you're turning off Reeves and getting assets, then that could potentially open the door to you maybe go getting another center, and then maybe just play LeBron at the 3. I don't know how LeBron would feel about that, but maybe you're kind of doing something like that, or again, maybe you're going and getting an upgrade at the 3. Right? Maybe you're taking that first plus the other pick swaps you have and going and getting a guy at the 3. I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on. I think the Lakers should go at least pick up the phone and ask about Jaren Jackson Jr. Bare minimum, you at least ask. And if I'm LeBron, I'm calling Triple J and being like, hey, it'd be nice, you, me, and Luka, right? Just saying. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.